Welcome to the Bowel Chronicles, where we dive deep into the world of bowel health. I'm your host, Nikki Kilpatrick, and on this podcast we have raw and candid conversations with individuals facing various bowel conditions and illnesses. Through personal stories and shared experiences, we illuminate resilience and courage in the face of adversity. Be reminded that each story is personal and unique. These conversations are not to be taken as medical advice or to replace guidance from a doctor or healthcare provider. Our aim is to inspire and empower through these amazing stories, amplifying voices often unheard. So join us as we embark on this journey together. Sit back, listen, and be inspired. Enjoy the episode. Well, hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Bowel Chronicles. I'm your host, Nikki Kilpatrick, and today I'm joined by the lovely Poppy in Cardiff. Poppy, it's so good to have you here. I know you've had a busy day and you're just in the door from work, but thank you so much for giving up some of your time to come on and share your story with us. You're very welcome.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Poppy, you were diagnosed just 8 years ago with ulcerative colitis. What were some of your symptoms? How did that come about and how did the diagnosis come about?
So I noticed the amount of times that I needed to go to the toilet throughout the day was increasing. And then when I had been to the toilet, I was noticing there was blood in my poo and mucus as well. And then I kind of went to the back and forth to the GP and I got told I had things like trapped wind or I think they said like gastroenteritis. That's how you say
Oh my
it.
days, yeah.
And wasn't really given much, just kind of like I was going through a stressful time. I'd just done my A levels, I'd started uni. And then the blood just got lots more. And I was having that urge to go to the toilet and there wasn't any poo, it was just pure blood. And I was just getting more and more worried. Back and forth to the GP again, just wasn't really getting any answers. Luckily, my parents were in a financial position where they could pay for me to go privately. So I went to see a gastro specialist and I had a scope and I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis then.
Wow. So basically you've been back and forwards quite a few times with these symptoms. When you say you were going to the toilet more than usual, how many times a day would you have been going to the toilet?
I'd say at the beginning of my diagnosis, maybe like, I don't know, between 5 and 10 times a day. And then I feel like throughout my journey with it, before I had my stoma bag, it was quite okay, and I just have flare-ups here and there. And then my biggest, I mean, I was going to the toilet 30 times a day, like I was back and forth.
It takes up so much of your day, so much energy. You're just absolutely exhausted.
Yeah.
How did you cope with life? I mean, you said you were doing A levels and things there. How was that, having this dependency on the toilet?
I think when I did get diagnosed, well, I know when I got diagnosed, I was really naive to the disease itself, and I had no idea that it could have such an impact on my life. I don't know whether that is like when I first got diagnosed, maybe it wasn't explained to me properly, like there's no cure, they don't really know how it's come. I just kind of got given these tablets to take, go home, and I thought I was okay. So at the beginning, it was more a joke. And then my degree's in musical theatre, and it kind of got to the end of my degree where I was doing my exams. And I remember like one moment where it was a time where I was going through a slight flare. And I was in the middle of a ballet exam being like examined by an examiner, and I couldn't leave to go to the toilet. And I literally I just went there and then, and I was finishing my ballet exam, having like been to the toilet in my leotard. So yeah, there were low points like that. And then I did go through a period of time where my consultant said I was in remission. So I felt like I had normal bowel movements compared to other people. And then I think coming up to the end, just before I had my stoma bag, I wasn't coping very well with it at all. I was taking so much time off work, but I was always trying to battle through because I thought this was my normal. So it was just, yeah, it was just exhausting, just like up in the night, back and forth, going to the toilet and work. And it is really hard as well when like if people don't know what ulcerative colitis is, because in work knew I had it, but I don't think they really knew what it was.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's just like a tough one to kind of talk about.
Yeah. And did they ask, was there anyone in your family? Sometimes IBD can be hereditary. Was that?
No, there's no one else in my family that
Yeah.
has IBD. I think my nan suffered a bit with like IBS.
Hmm.
Like there was a few foods that she didn't agree with, but no, it was completely new to us when I got diagnosed.
Okay. And so when you were diagnosed, then what form of treatment did they put you on?
So I took tablets of Mesavant for
Okay.
God, what seems like forever, and it was just two tablets in the morning, and
Mhm.
I had Salofac enemas as well, which I didn't really mind. It was just I just took them, a little bit embarrassing, but
Yeah.
that's what I did. And
Mhm.
for about 3 years, they really worked.
Okay.
I think when the tablets stopped working, that's when things started to go downhill then. So then I went on to injecting myself with, I'm not even going to try and say the name of the medication.
Yeah.
That didn't work. I think I was on that for about 6 months. And then I got put on infusions.
Hmm.
I started on one Vido, I think that's
Okay. Yeah.
it.
Sounds.
Changed to another one, and then first of all, every 8 months, then it dropped to four, then it dropped to two, and then I had my flare then, and it didn't stop, and I was admitted to hospital.
So when was that you were admitted to hospital?
December 2021.
A massive flare-up with.
Just back and forth to the toilet, constantly on the phone to my IBD nurses,
Mhm.
just in panic. I was given a course of oral steroids, and they normally worked. And it got to
Mhm.
like 4 days in of taking them, and I was thinking, oh my God, this is bad because these steroids aren't even touching the sides.
Yeah.
And phoning up again, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? This is like, there is so much blood.
Hmm.
And I was put forward for an emergency camera. And
Hmm.
when I was coming round, I think because I find cameras so traumatizing that I want all the sedation.
Yeah.
And when I was kind of coming round, I could hear them say, "We can't send her home. She needs to be in hospital close to the surgeons." And I think it wasn't until a month after that I actually had my surgery because I tried different medications. But actually, that day I knew that my future wasn't was gonna have I was gonna have to have a stoma bag because like it was
Yeah.
almost like they were preempting it.
And had you thought about ever having a stoma before that? Was it ever something that came into your thoughts, or was it last minute whenever this really bad flare-up happened, the
If
final
I'm
flare-up?
honest, I had such a negative viewpoint of a stoma bag before. That would be my idea of hell. That was like
Mhm.
the last option for me. And it was always something me and my mum would say to it, it's not going to happen to me. Like, that's not
Mhm.
going to happen. And I remember once being in a flare and coming downstairs the following morning and saying to my mum, oh my God, I had a dream I had a stoma bag. And we were both like, let's not think like that. It's not going to happen. Like, that to
Mhm.
me was something that old people had, and I don't want to have anything to do with that.
Okay. So then this flare-up happens, you're in hospital and they start you on a new treatment.
Yeah,
And
tried a new treatment, and it was quite funny because the pharmacist at the time in hospital was someone I knew.
Mhm.
And as she was walking down the ward, she kind of said, "Oh, I was really hoping it wasn't going to be you because I've read your notes and it's not looking good." And I was just becoming more and more unwell. I dropped to about 5 stone. Like I could barely even walk on my own. And
Mhm.
then I was in Landock Hospital, which is in Penarth. And then I got transported by ambulance over. And when I got there, my consultant was there, my mum and dad was there, which was really weird because I wasn't allowed any visitors because it was like still COVID times.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hadn't seen them both in ages, and I just knew straight away. I was like, oh my God, this is not good. And my consultant basically said, unless we do the surgery tomorrow morning, like, we don't think you'll leave the hospital alive, type of thing. And
Mhm.
then I just kind of sat there, and I was so unwell that I don't ever want to say I was looking forward to it, but I just didn't want to be in pain anymore. So I was
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
let's just do it. And then when the surgeon came round then to the ward, I mean, I definitely screamed the ward down in fear. But then 6 a.m. the next morning, I was whisked off for surgery.
It's a lot to get your head around in such a short
Yeah.
space of time, isn't it?
Yeah, it was
Because
it was funny because I think because I had heard those nurses, like I was in hospital about a month in total. And when I got admitted, when I heard the nurses say like she needs to be around surgeons, I think I like always knew it was coming, but it was just you keep that hope that the next day there's going to be no blood and the medication will work. But it got to a point where I was so unwell that I was actually taking my toilet bag to the toilet and holding it up to my stomach as if to pretend it was a stoma bag there, and like looking at myself in the mirror going, it's not too bad, it's not too bad, it's okay. I was so unwell. There was just there was like no hope left. I just needed to be better.
And had you done any research into other people with stomas or, IBD on a
Again,
similar journey?
I'd worked myself up so much before that I didn't want one so bad that like even following someone on Instagram that had one, not saying that I didn't want to, well, I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to, it was almost like making that my reality. So I'd never really looked into it before.
Okay.
And then the night before my surgery, I was just lying there in hospital alone on Instagram, and I found someone who did have a stoma. Um, she's amazing. Still speak to her now. But she said, do you actually know what it looks like? And I had no idea. I just saw the bag. I had no idea what was under the bag. And I was like, no. So she sent me hers. And then I could feel like, I mean, again, I didn't really want to see it at the time, but it was so good to like be able to have that as like preparation for the next morning type of thing.
Yeah, it's a bit of reality, isn't it? Whenever you see an
I
exposed
think,
stoma of.
yeah, the stoma nurses, I don't know. I wouldn't say I have a great relationship with my stoma nurses. I don't find them particularly helpful. But it was, I don't know that is it the bedside manner type of thing? But there just was not really much support, or the booklets they were giving to me. I know that they don't control who's on the front cover, but it was all old men. And
Okay.
I never really had the conversation that, oh, it's going to be this little red piece of your internal organ that's going to stick out.
Yeah.
It was just they stuck a bag onto me and they said, tomorrow you're having your surgery, just sleep with it tonight to get a feel of it. And I just thought it was just such a bizarre thing. So I just had this empty bag hanging off me for the night. And then I woke up, they peeled it off, they got a Sharpie. I tried on a few clothes quickly with my mum. They dotted my stomach and off I went. Yeah, it was
That's
bizarre.
yeah, that's really sad to hear. And my own experience, I was cited for my stoma 3 days before my surgery, but on that day, um, you know, I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. And she took out the little Sharpie and she took out some bags and she said, "No, is this the type of trouser you wear all the time? Is this the type of underwear you wear all the time?" I was like, "Yes." And I was like, "Right, let's do this. Let's get this in a comfortable place, for you." It wasn't the day of surgery, it was a few days beforehand, thankfully.
And minutes
But
before I was popped on the bed and wheeled
yeah.
on, it was, yeah, it's
And
bizarre.
again, I was given a helpful little tool. I can put my hand on it, which was a fake stoma.
No.
And I was sent home with this little pack of various different types of bags to try out. But I was told to put a little bit of water into the bag to kind of simulate the idea of having output in it, which
Okay.
was really, really helpful. So this had double-sided sticky tape on it, and yeah, a variety of different company bags just to trial out to see, get the feel of them, see what I liked. And that way I was able to actually pick the type of stoma bag that I wanted straight after surgery.
I don't
Everybody does it
know
differently.
because it was such an emergency, whether
Yeah.
it was just that, right, okay, tomorrow, 6 a.m. And then like my poor mum, dad, boyfriend and sister, they all came in at like 5 a.m., bless them. But yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, it was just, it was a really negative experience anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So when you woke up from surgery then, let's talk about the reality of here you are now with this stoma bag on that has a purpose for being there. And the first time you actually get to see your stoma.
So when I woke up, I instantly felt better. It was like I didn't have this toxic colon in me anymore.
Yeah.
And I was really positive. I had like a yes, I've beaten ulcerative colitis. And then the stoma nurses came round, and I was still so weak, but they changed the stoma bag, and I remember thinking, oh God, that's not even that bad. Like I was looking at it thinking, oh, I'm not really sure. Like it kind of
Hmm.
went through me because there were still stitches and things.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously still very weak, but I felt better straight away. Um, but then a week after, I had to get my stoma refashioned because it wasn't quite big enough. So
Okay.
I was really well in hospital. I felt like I was making so much progress. Then I was really sick,
Hmm.
and then it was coming up to Christmas. It was Christmas Eve, and I was thinking, I want to go home. I want to go home. And they discharged me. I think I was home for about 24 hours. Was home for Christmas Day, Boxing Day, rushed straight back in. Just had the most unbearable pain.
Hmm.
And then a couple of days in hospital again. I was rushed down for a second surgery to have my stoma refashioned. And I think when I woke up from that, it like that feeling of wellness and feeling great, I feel it was gone because I at that point
Yeah.
again dropped to 5 stone. I couldn't walk without support then because I was just
Hmm.
so ill. And then it like dawned on me. I was like, oh my God, I have now a stoma bag for the foreseeable future.
Hmm.
This is just horrendous. And I think I just wanted to get home, wanted to get well, but I always had like, I don't think I went a day, maybe not an hour without crying for like the first couple of months. And then, if I'm honest, it's like something clicked. And
Hmm.
I was just like, the crying kind of stopped and I was healthier and I was kind of getting back to feeling good in my body again.
Hmm.
And I was speaking to a different girl online who had a stoma bag, chatting, and I'd gone on holiday with my mum. And that day, I bumped into that girl in the same bar on holiday, and I was like, "Oh my goodness,
Wow.
this is so bizarre." And she said, "Have you told many people now you have a stoma bag?" And I said, no, 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 I don't think I will. Like, it's not something that I want to share. And she said, I think you're feeling worse because it's like a big, horrible secret.
Secret. Hmm.
So tomorrow, get in a bikini, get your mum to take a photo and just announce it on your Instagram page, which is what I did. And it was just like a massive weight lifted off my
Mm.
shoulders. The amount of love that I received, it was just amazing. And then it was just something that I felt so comfortable talking about with people. And like, I love talking about it. Uh,
Hmm.
I think it's because I love like educating people to make sure no one feels the way that I felt originally.
Yeah.
But also, I like talking about it because there's part of me that thinks if I don't talk about it, people will forget what I've been through, or people will forget that I have it, or I don't know.
Hmm.
I love talking about like if people ask like, oh, how do you empty it? How do you change it? Like I
Hmm.
just think the more people that know, the more it's normal.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so I had that on my personal Instagram page, and then a couple of months later, I kind of sat down with my mum and dad, and I wasn't really enjoying being a teacher. And they said, "Well, what are you passionate about?" And I just said, like, I want to raise awareness for stomas awareness, IBD awareness." And then I started my Instagram page, Stoma Scene.
Hmm. Yeah. And for those of you listening and watching today, Poppy's social media handle at Stomacing will be tagged here below in the show notes. So do go over to her page and give her a follow and start interacting if that's what you want. When tears were filling up there in my eyes, the hairs on my arms were standing, about connecting with this girl that you had been talking with on Instagram, meeting her in the bar in the flesh. It was almost like a moment that was supposed to be, that
Yeah,
you needed to see someone in the flesh that day who was just going to tell you what you needed to do, that was going to be the right thing, because she too probably had gone through exactly the same thing of, I can't keep this a secret, and why am I keeping it a secret? It's almost like we have a little bit of shame when we
yeah,
shouldn't, because the reality is this stoma has saved your life. You're here to share your story.
be here without it. I think there is such
Yeah.
negative stigma around stomas.
Yeah.
And I do think I've had my stoma 3 years now, and I feel like I don't know if it's because my algorithms on Instagram are everything stoma.
Hmm.
I feel like I've already seen a positive shift. And I mean, there's more representation out there
Yes.
on TV programs or like modeling platforms.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, we still have a long way to go, but I just think there's already
Absolutely.
a positive shift in
Yeah.
like the acceptance of them and like thinking, well, it's just normal.
Hmm. So here you are, you've had your stoma for 3 years. You woke up instantly and you knew that ulcerative colitis pain was gone. Has that remained the same?
No, so it did for about a year.
Okay.
But I still have my rectum, so I still get symptoms in my rectum.
Okay, so just explain to us, Billy, for our audience that are watching and listening, what type of stoma surgery did you have? Was it an ileostomy, a colostomy? Was it a total colectomy? You tell us exactly what you
I
had.
had an ileostomy, so
Hmm.
I had the whole of my colon removed, and my rectum remains
Hmm.
just kind of sewn up. It's not really used to go to the toilet or anything anymore. It's just there.
Hmm.
And I think it's there for the opportunity to have a reversal if that is something that I wanted to do.
Hmm.
But at the moment, that isn't something that I even think about. I
Hmm.
have such a fear of more surgery
Hmm.
that yeah, it wouldn't be something that I would choose to do at the moment. But I still bleed because I still have ulcerative colitis in my rectum.
Yeah.
Um, so I doubt it would be the right move for me anyway to have a reversal
Hmm.
because I still have those symptoms. But I still speak to my consultant a lot as well, and I know every consultant and surgeon is different on because they know your body, but he has said to me as well he wouldn't put me forward for any more surgery at the moment until I have started a family.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's just kind of I think before I knew that information, it was always a massive worry
Yes.
whether I was going to have the Barbie butt surgery or the reversal surgery. But I kind of
Hmm.
had he kind of put me on ease quite recently just to say, look, you're fine for the next couple of years. Enjoy your wedding.
Hmm.
Think about having a family if that's something that you want to do, and then we'll look at it in a couple of years again.
Good. And did they start you on any treatment for the ulcerative colitis in the rectum?
So I did take, I had another course of steroids, and I'm kind of at the point where I've taken so many courses of steroids, I don't think they'll actually give me any more because obviously they're not great
Hmm.
for your bones and things like that.
Yeah.
I take suppositories. They're the thing that see the biggest difference on. Even
Okay.
the steroids didn't really do anything, and they said the nurses did say because you're taking them orally, sometimes
Hmm.
it doesn't impact the last bit, like the stump that's left.
Yeah.
So
It
yeah,
depends on your output as well. You could be popping those steroids in and they're just coming
yeah,
out in your bag. Yeah.
they're not even having an impact at all. No. So
Hmm.
yeah, the suppositories I think do work. But I have noticed it's when I'm like on my period, if my menstrual cycle, I notice that it's a bit worse. Or again, I know we don't know the reason people get ulcerative colitis, but I do think stress has a massive impact on that. And like if I'm feeling particularly stressed, I noticed that I bleed more. But
Yeah.
my consultant again said it's not something to worry about at the moment. Like it's natural. They didn't take it all out, so there is
Hmm.
to go. But yeah, it's something that I'll have to think about in the future.
Cool. So here you are then. You're an engaged lady and you're getting married next year, 2026.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your Instagram there. Yep, I did say your handle will be posted in the show notes, but you've got like a reel on there where you've gone wedding dress shopping. How was all of that with Estoma?
I think I think before I left to go wedding dress shopping, I had like a proper moment of reflection. And it's like, I think it's like day-to-day life, I barely even notice my stoma. Like that's part of me now. I just kind of get on with it. And then it's these monumental moments where you have a moment of reflection. And I was thinking, I wonder what dress I would have picked if I didn't have my stoma bag, because I want to be comfortable.
Okay.
I don't really want it to show through my wedding dress. I don't want to really have to think about it. And I just kind of sat there and I did feel a little bit upset. And I kind of thought, I wonder if I would have picked something different if I didn't have my stoma. And then the truth of it is, I went wedding dress shopping. I had the most fantastic day. I didn't even notice my stoma bag whatsoever. I
Right.
was picking any dress that I wanted to try on, but you couldn't see it through anything, and it didn't bother me at all. And I think sometimes I think it's nice to have that moment as well, to just like see how far you've come, and it is okay to have a little cry, and because having a stoma is tough and what we're
Yeah.
through is difficult, and then just like moving on, letting it go and living your best
Yeah.
life. And I had the best day. I wish I could relive it all again. I didn't think about my stoma once.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. And I love that you've taken the time to reflect because, as you say, it's just a piece of you now. It's there. And it's not that you take it for granted because you get a rude reminder that it's there, but it has saved your life and it's always going to be that way. Do you or have you changed your fashion sense post-surgery to what it was beforehand? Did you feel you had to do that?
When I first came out, I threw everything out. I had a complete meltdown. Can't wear that anymore. Can't wear that anymore. Like this one pair of jeans that I let go, and I'm devastated they're gone. Because realistically now, I wear whatever I want to wear. If you can see my bag through it, and I feel like I don't really care that day, then you can see my bag through it. If I'm feeling a bit more conscious and I don't really want you to see it, then I'll wear something that won't show. I don't really care. I think it just depends on how confident I'm feeling that day. But no, I wouldn't say I've particularly changed my fashion at all. I think the only thing I've changed is like how comfortable, as in physically, I feel, whether
Yes.
something's too tight or how easily it'll be for my bag to fill up, things like that. But no, I wouldn't say my fashion has drastically changed.
Yeah. Good woman. Amazing. Poppy, thank you so much for sharing everything that you have with us. You've been very open and honest, and I love that. If there was one piece of information that you could give to someone very similar journey to yourself today, a younger Poppy, what would it be?
I would say don't compare your journey to anyone else's, because everyone is completely different. And please just give yourself time. Um, because like I said, you will have that switch moment where all of you, it's a massive thing to go through. Give yourself that time for your head, your body to get over it. And I promise you, you will come out the other side.
I love that. What a story of resilience. You like a stoma was the worst thing in the world for you, and here you are sharing your journey publicly for everyone to see. And raising awareness and advocating. And yeah, I just love it. It's absolutely amazing.
But
Poppy, thank you so much. Guys, I have said her Instagram handle will be posted in the show notes below. Do make sure you go over and follow her. And if there's anything that we have chatted about today that resonates with you, do drop Poppy a DM or myself and we will try and get you an answer. We're not professionals, we're just sharing our own individual journeys. So if there's anything here and you're like, oh my goodness, I've got those symptoms, make sure you go and you see a GP, or you seek professional help just like Poppy has done here, because it's important that you advocate for yourself, because at the end of the day, everybody matters, and it's important. So Poppy, once again, thank you so much. And I can't wait until this episode is aired and everyone gets to hear a really inspirational story. So thank you.
thank you so
Guys, do come back and join us next week for another episode. But for now, it's over and out from Poppy and myself. You're going to say something.
much.
Go
Bye.
ahead.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome.